Today we're going to take a look at the 12 most broken champions with the highest win rates that you can abuse in patch 12.12, and probably 12.13 too, because only Volibear is getting nerfed next patch and Wukong might be affected a little bit by the Divine Sundering nerfs, but they're probably still going to be busted. In this video we're going to cover who the best champions to climb solo queue with are right now and why they're so good, and just give you a little bit of extra info too on builds and all those kind of things like that. Remember that you can see all of these champions, builds, runes and everything else on our website and our desktop app too, and this information gets updated every single day based on the best and most successful setups to go for. Now we're going to have to start off with Seraphine. Over the last few weeks she's been absolutely everywhere, and the main reason why is because the game is so focused on scaling utility right now. Seraphine has that in abundance, and there's very little competition for just how much she brings to the table. Seraphine has tons of AoE healing and shielding, which is enough to be impactful on its own. She also has a surprising amount of consistent AoE damage, she's got catch potential, she's got massive multiple target CC, and she just thrives in extended fights. Which, let's face it, this meta is all about. Seraphine's most vulnerable stage is in the early game, and in the past she has really struggled to stay alive. Now though, it's harder to kill her and she kinda just always scales for free unless she has 4000 ping, and even then she's probably still gonna do alright. Seraphine is having the most success in the mid lane and the bot lane, with her damaging setup based around Liandry's, Lucidity Boots and Rylai's, and she spikes pretty damn hard once she's got these items. Then you've got Archangels for what feels like unlimited mana, and other items like Putrefier and Zhonya's which round off her build perfectly. Despite receiving some nerfs last week to her passive AP ratio and the CC duration on her E, she's still being abused left, right and centre, or should I say bot, mid and support. In mid and support her win rate is sitting comfortably around 52%, and in the bot lane, which is her best role although it's a bit less common, is at 54.7%. Yes, you heard that correctly, 54.7% in Plat Plus. If that wasn't enough reason to include her in this video, then I don't know what would be. Wukong got nerfed as well last week, and they reduced his E's damage to jungle monsters and his ultimate's base cooldown. And well, it's safe to say that these changes didn't really do anything. Wukong's win rate in the jungle is at almost 52.5%, and it's pretty similar in the top lane too. Next week, Divine Sundering is getting nerfed, and this guy's been building this almost every game, but people will just find alternatives if it's seriously bad. But you never know, it might still be his best option. We'll see how it feels after those changes. But yeah, Wukong has been insanely popular since those buffs and changes that he got all the way back in patch 12.7. So 5 or 6 patches later and he's still this strong, which is quite surprising really. But I guess in recent history, Riot have been allowing these champions to have the limelight for longer than usual. Wukong just has so much consistent damage. His gap closers are on a very low cooldown and he has 2 of them, 3 if you include his ultimate, and speaking of that ultimate, you cannot argue with how impactful this ability is. As soon as you have it, you have more dueling threat, more survivability, more CC, more teamfight potential, and the fact you can pretty much knock up an entire team twice across a large area if you use it with your clone is pretty insane. Wukong is a fairly straightforward champion to pick up as well, so that likely adds to another reason as to why he's so popular and so successful, as so many people can play him. Tahm Kench and Senna both also got nerfs in patch 12.12b, the little hotfix patch, but guess what? This duo is still one of the best and most successful bot lane pairings in the entire game. Tahm Kench farms and becomes incredibly tanky, and Senna collects souls and scales up nicely, but the synergy these champions have together is immense. Senna's poke and sustain controls the lane, and Tahm Kench brings damage, CC and a lot of durability to the table. They tend to win when they're poking and trading at range, but they also have intense all-in potential with the combined uses of their Ws. Both Senna's and Tahm's Q's slow. Both of their Ws can lock people down, and then they can just auto and slap their enemies down pretty easily. Then you've also got those ultimates, and Tahm Kench's ultimate just completely solves Senna's vulnerabilities. This duo can win in almost all matchups, and it's immensely difficult to shut down too. They're hard to gank because of how safe they are. They can easily 2v3 at level 6 onwards, they can roam together, they can dive together. The list of ways that this pairing wins games could go on forever. Diana is also doing super well at the moment in both the mid lane and the jungle, and her win rate has been around 52 to 53% in both roles for the last few patches. The jungle is definitely where she's the most popular though, with a 12% pick rate and a 10% ban rate. We had Diana jungle everywhere in season 11, then it got nerfed and we all breathed a sigh of relief. Then it got buffed again and it's been everywhere once more in season 12. When Diana can jungle, she's instantly in the top tiers. She clears insanely quickly and very easily, as it doesn't require too much practice to know how to melt down those camps. She has fantastic ganks at level 6, she has multiple gap closers with that QE reset, she's not too bad at dueling either, especially with the lead, and she scales into the game so well. Diana has a few different builds to go for too. You've got Nashor's into Sunfire and Demonic Embrace, making you a tanky frontliner with a ton of damage engage. Or you've got the classic Protobelt Assassin focused on bursting as many enemies down as you can when you go in before you get popped. Both of these builds are very effective and very popular as well, so whichever playstyle you prefer, you're probably going to have a lot of success either way. Diana just does not really have a weak period in her game. She's fine throughout the early game, she has a very prolific mid game, and her late game team fighting is obviously still very strong. She only really struggles against very particular anti-melee comps that have a lot of AoE CC and disruption. And even then, she can still probably win the games before that becomes a problem. Now Zilean doesn't actually get played all that much, especially in the mid lane, but those that do play AP Zilean mid have around a 53.5% win rate at Plat Plus. When playing Zilean mid, your bombs kinda do everything. You can wave clear and roam, you can harass and poke, or you can set up ganks easily, especially alongside the slow from your E. Speaking of that E, it also speeds up yourself or your allies too, and we all know just how OP movement speed is in League of Legends, and it always has been. Zilean, just like a lot of other vulnerable early game champions, did get massively buffed by patch 12.10, but to be honest he was already pretty abusable. He's kinda simple to play, and the only thing you really need to learn is your positioning and the timing of your ultimate. Zilean support is still doing really well too, sitting at an impressive 52.25% win rate there as well. Here you build more like a traditional utility support, but because of the champion's general effectiveness, he still wins a lot of games here too. Wherever you decide to play him or however you want to build him, Zilean as a champion is definitely one you should add to your arsenal this patch. So it's been a while since we've seen Zac be this popular, and his previous weaknesses of his vulnerable first clear is still there, but people just don't get away with invading as much right now, and all you have to do is get through those early levels without dying, and you're honestly good to go. Zac has some pretty insane early ganks, and once you've got a few levels in your Re, your engage range is a bit absurd. He's one of the best junglers to abuse lanes with no mobility or summoner spells, as he generally cannot do anything if he lands his E and follows it up with his Q, and of course even more so if he has that ultimate. Zac's always been good at ganking though, so why is he just so much better now? Well, the thing is, his itemization and power spikes are a lot bigger than they have been in the past. Zac's itemization has always been a bit chaotic. We've had Liandry's builds, we've had full AP, we've had traditional tank, but right now we've got Sunfire and Demonic Embrace. Once you get these two items and those lucidity boots, you become an absolute monster. It's actually ridiculous how hard you are to kill whilst dealing a tremendous amount of relentless damage. After that, you just want to build more health and deal more damage due to that Demonic Embrace. Spirit Visage is an absolute joke on this champion too, improving your sustain when you collect those blobs, and Thornmail is a pretty safe bet too. If you do get fed on Zac, and Majias also goes a long way as well, because with a bit of AP, it's actually crazy how much damage you can deal. Zac is so good right now that people are actually playing it in the solo lanes and the support role too, but obviously the jungle is where he belongs with nearly a 52.5% win rate across all ranks. Darius has been popping off for a while now, ever since patch 12.10, and he's just feeling a bit untouched and a bit too strong. He's currently sitting at a comfortable and very respectable 52% win rate at all ranks, and this just doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon. Darius is probably one of the strongest champions in the game when it comes to snowballing and abusing his lead. Most matchups and champions have a way back into lanes if they're a bit behind, but Darius can just keep that lead and use it to repeatedly kill so easily and so quickly. He has very solid all-in threat from as early as level 1, and he keeps that threat throughout the entire lane phase. As long as he has his flash and ghost up, he'll just trade and burst and back out, then repeat that until you're in kill range, and then sprint towards you and take you down. If a jungler tries to come up to the top lane to help you out, he can often just kill them as well due to the nature of his ultimate and his passive. All he needs to do is burst down one target and then probably just kill the other one afterwards. Darius' weaknesses before were because of needing 2 summoner spells to actually be OP, but teleport is just a bit naff now. And the other one is because there was just so much burst in the game that he often just got popped or camped early game. Now though, that extra health really makes a difference for him and he can just do his job so much better now. I'm definitely expecting some Darius nerfs at some point soon, but honestly, who knows. Bel'Veth's nerfs made a difference, but she's still got a 52% plus win rate, and in higher ranks she's 53% plus. Oh, and by the way, she still has a whopping 65% ban rate across the majority of ranks. If you find yourself against a Yuumi Bel'Veth this patch, no amount of CC or anti-heal is going to allow you to beat them. Not unless you absolutely destroy them in the early game anyway. That is really where Bel'Veth's weakness lies, in the early game, but she's not actually that weak here. She's just not too broken yet. Bel'Veth has an infinitely scaling passive with her attack speed, and this means she's only going to get better the later the game goes on. Her most broken ability is probably her E, which grants a huge amount of damage reduction and lifesteal, and it also makes her feel a bit immortal if you can't interrupt it. This ability also auto-targets the lowest health nearby enemy too, which means she can use it as an execute as well. She has crazy mobility with her Q, she has AoE true damage with her Void Corals, and if she consumes them she becomes even stronger. She also has pre-6 AoE CC in her W for those early ganks, and when she consumes Rifts and Barons, she can spawn Voidlings and take down turrets easily. There really is so much that this champion does, and it's hard to try and find reasons not to ban her right now. Swain has around a 52 to 53% win rate in the mid and the bot lane at the moment. You can still play him in the top lane and support too, but he doesn't tend to perform here just as well. Swain has been very strong since those big changes a while ago now, and after people realised how to build and play the new Swain, he's been very popular too. He just deals a massive amount of AoE damage consistently, and the fact that his ultimate not only damages you but heals him too means you can't actually really fight him when his ultimate is up. You have to respect him, back up and let it time out if you aren't dead already. If he gets behind, he's obviously not going to do quite as well with his ultimate, but he still has tools to bring to the table in his long range damage and vision control in his W and the catch potential of his E. Swain gets very bulky very quickly despite not building like a tank, and his damage over time is a bit scary, especially once he's completed that Liandry's Anguish. After a Zhonya's and even a Spirit Visage, he can seem impossible to kill, and then it just becomes a matter of purely avoiding him or you just won't beat him. Swain has been having a huge amount of success since that little rework, and although him and his items have been nerfed a bit, he's still doing great things. Guys, can you believe that Volibear is finally getting nerfed next week? It's definitely about time, as this guy's been destroying the jungle for far too long. Like seriously, it's been ages. I don't think the nerfs are going to make him useless, but let's hope that they do make a bit of a difference. Volibear has a 54 to 54.5% win rate at all ranks at the moment, which is pretty absurd for a champion that's not been hotfixed yet. After a patch previously, Zeri got towards those numbers and got hotfixed within 2 days. Volibear though has been doing it for weeks. I'm sure every single one of you watching this video already knows all about Volibear, but if you've been living under a rock, then Volibear is up there with the best champions in the entire game right now. He just kinda has it all really. He's insanely tanky, he deals a stupendous amount of damage, he has pre-6 reliable CC, self-shields, slows, and an ultimate that allows him to dive into teams without a scratch. Volibear works into basically every single team comp under the sun, and if he does get fed, which is very often, he just snowballs super quickly and you're gonna have a very hard time shutting him down, and competing for any objectives too. Let's just see how those nerfs make a difference. There aren't too many super broken AD carries in the game at the moment, but Twitch is definitely the best of the bunch. Ever since patch 12.10, this guy's just soared into popularity, and for very good reason. Twitch needed that extra bit of health to get through his lane phase, and now he's popping off in the majority of games. Once you've completed that Blade of the Ruined King, you instantly become a lot stronger, and then you get yourself a Kraken Slayer and you spike yet again, and another time with that Rune Arts. Once you've got these 3 items, you can melt down single targets when you go and assassinate them, but you can also deal a crazy amount of damage and burst to multiple targets with that ultimate. If you manage to get a good flank angle, you can be absolutely devastating if you're left unchecked, and people really do have a tendency to forget about Twitch because of that unique stealth mechanic. Twitch is one of the only AD carries in the game that can actually roam too with their stealth, so when you get a reset you can just go to mid lane and pick up free kills too. Then you snowball really quickly, you go back to bot lane, you kill them too, and before you know it you're 10-0 and you got 3 items and no one can deal with you. If you aren't playing Twitch yet, why not? In patch 12.10, Rammus was not okay. In patch 12.11 and 12.12 though, Rammus is absolutely broken. His 53% plus win rate is all you need to know, and honestly if you main this champion you must be loving life at the moment. Rammus just rolls around the map and ganks everyone super quickly and easily with his mobility and his crowd control. You just zoom into a lane, force a flash, come back again, taunt them and live happily ever after. Once you have that ultimate, people can't even disengage you now because you become unstoppable, and you also have an extra gap closer too. So if they don't have flash, you Q, you ult, see you later. When you do get fed on Rammus this patch, there is simply no answer to you. You can tank a whole team's damage, and most of the time they'll just be killing themselves by attacking you. Not only do you absorb a ton of damage though, but you actually deal a surprising amount of damage yourself. Rammus is very easy to play and easy to be effective on, and he's always been a solid champion in low relos. Right now though, he is abusable at every single rank. There we have it then guys, the 12 most broken champions to abuse in patch 12.12. Maybe we'll get to add the new champion Nilah next time, as she's going to be hitting the Rift next week along with that much anticipated Sivir update. Who else is excited for that one? Before you go guys, click the link in the description to check out our website and download our desktop app to see all the builds, runes, guides, counters, combos and everything else for every one of these champions, and bring it all with you into your next game of League. Thank you for watching as always guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.